Hi there. Welcome to Bible/Chat. Gus,
Hi, John.
You can't say hi to me.
Hi, John.
Yeah, perfect. Much better. Okay, so today we're going to ask a couple of questions and discuss a topic that's kind of come up recently, even in our staff meeting. Here's my question for you, Gus, and we can dialogue about this a little bit. You've heard of ChatGPT.
Yes.
It's AI. You can ask it questions.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just start by asking a question about the pastoral work and ChatGPT. Do you think pastors should use ChatGPT to write their sermons?
No.
Okay, explain why.
Actually, I was just using it a second ago. We were asking it questions. I don't think that it's wrong to use it as a research tool, but it's hard because you don't know where the AI is pulling the information from, because obviously it doesn't think on its own.
Yeah.
So it's pulling the information from somewhere, and so I would actually would hope that if you're using that, I hope you're not, but if you're using that to be checking and seeing what that information, where is that coming from? I have a friend that has put all the works from the Puritans in it, and he's able to ask questions and is able to find a synthesis on, what is justification according to Owen or Watson. And I think that's helpful to do that. But when you're using that and you're saying, hey, turn this into 4 points, make it, write a hymn at the end.
Add an introduction and write a conclusion.
And make sure it's gospel centered. Then we run into some problems, right?
Could be problems,
because we don't know who's doing that. I do think that that's the way of the future, though. That we're going to see that a lot more.
Increasing AI generated sermons. Why?
Yes.
What makes you think that?
Because people are lazy. I mean, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, think about Logos. Back 40 years ago, people had to learn Greek and Hebrew by heart.
Yeah.
And now it's so much easier to read, your Nestle Land or your VHS from, with using Logos, right?
So those kind of tools, like for example, their technology is giving us the ability to analyze language better.
Yeah.
So like in one sense, like we would agree that actually, for example, taking the Greek text of a passage and then asking ChatGPT to do a grammatical analysis is the same as using any other tool.
Yeah, and we would say it's okay, right?
Yeah, because I mean, really, like theological dictionaries and things like that have always done that. It's just that the speed and proficiency of those tools has just increased.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you'd say it's fine.
Yeah, and I would say it's fine even for it to summarize something for you.
Yeah.
But when it's actually writing your sermon, or it's doing the study that you need to do, which is like think through. This week I taught on the Trinity in equipping class, and I was asking. The OpenAI to do hey, tell me about the Trinity. And then I was like, okay, go further into it. What are the functions of the Trinity? How do they relate to one another? And it really didn't do that good of a job. But I think in maybe 5 years, it probably will. An amazing job. But it's very easy for us to just think, well, I'm so busy. I'll have it write my sermon or a blog article or
whatever.
And it could, in a sense, this is what we're paid for. We're paid to do, right? We're paid to think through, write sermons, try to shepherd the flock. And I would have a hard time asking it to write a sermon for me.
Totally. No, I would agree.
And then I don't know if that is actually if that would actually, if you have a conflict where this is actually not plagiarizing, right? Because they're not your words.
They're not. You didn't actually write it.
Someone else did.
So it does come down to like a really interesting analysis too. Like one of the things that famous preachers have said in the past is that preaching is like logic on fire. So like that idea of taking something that's very logical. I mean, OpenAI is like super logical. It follows the rules of logic. It analyzes things really well. But then there's something missing in that component, right? I mean, it's not just the cerebral nature of preaching that.
Well, you're missing the heart, right? this is what all those movies and all those jokes, right?
Yeah,
You've seen, the robot can do a really good job, but he doesn't understand love.
Yeah.
Explain love to me, the robot says.
Yeah.
AI would say, well, explain, affection for Christ. Well, it's very good at cerebral stuff, but how do you have affection, that warm-hearted affection, right?
Totally.
Towards Christ.
Yeah, and
so he would have done terrible in your series on love, I think.
Nice. So that
love is doing.
Table. So do you think it's a? I mean, would you say like a pastor who's using it in that way would be sinning actually? Like in the way of, not in the way of research, like it's another research tool, but in the way of like having it write a sermon.
I would say it would be in the same vein as someone plagiarizing something.
Stealing another sermon. Yeah. Changing the illustrations to put your name in, and otherwise it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we would say that's a sin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. It's stealing.
Yeah. You're stealing something.
Yeah.
Even if the thing you're stealing from is a tool that you're allowed to use.
Yeah, because they're not really your words.
Yeah. So in the same way that like you're allowed to purchase a book on,
unless you quote. I'm quoting AI now.
I'm quoting ChatGPT here.
Yeah. For the next 45 minutes, I'll be quoting them.
You just say that under your breath and then just preach the sermon.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's I think that's an important distinction to make, right?
Yeah.
Just because the tool is available to you, and just because it's original material, does not mean that you're not taking from some other source and using it as though it's yours.
Well, I think of this of like, there are people out there who have had others write their sermons, right? And you hear about this. And we say that's reprehensible, right?
Yeah.
That's not ideal, and that's sinful.
Yeah.
I think it's in the same vein as that.
Yeah.
Just
agree.
because AI doesn't have a first name or last name,
I
guess A stands for artificial, I is intelligence.
Unlike your balloon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because it's not a person.
Yeah.
It's still an entity that's doing that work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're taking credit for it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not telling anything. Oh, it was not me. It was.
It was ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's super helpful. So it really comes down to initial character at its core.
Yeah. Because that can be even when you're using books, right?
Yeah.
You can.
We know people, commentators, who have had books pulled off shelves because they were too plagiaristic in terms of what they...
Yeah, and we've known preachers in the last 50 years who have done that.
Yeah.
And they lost ministries. Yeah, and they lost ministries over that.
Yeah. But so the distinction here, you would say, is minor. The fact that you steal another person's sermon or you steal another entity's sermon, which in this case is just this open AI.
Unless everything is yours.
Right.
So if you're actually telling AI, summarize my points.
Got it. So you think of the points, you put it in there. It cleans up the grammar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
you would say that's a cleaner. That would be fine because that's more of a tool.
Of course, of course.
So the real question here is like, is it sin to steal someone else's intellectual?
Of course, yes.
Contemplation, and you would say yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
What would you would say yes?
I would agree 100%. Yeah. I think
is this one of the only times we actually agree? 100%.
This is the second time.
Yeah, it's like
no, I think that's
salvation, and then now this one, right?
Deity of Christ.
Deity of Christ.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's a helpful analysis for that. So yeah, I hope that's helpful for you.
What would you? I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
have you used it, and what did you think?
I've now done 3 prompts.
Okay.
And it's very interesting. I do feel that what you said at the very beginning, I would agree with. Like the fact that it's pulling from source information, right? So there's a lot of source information on the Christian life that I don't trust.
Yeah.
And so you're asking it to do some analysis for you, but you don't know what source information is actually pulling from to do that analysis. So, when it comes to this kind of thing, usually the majority is usually not right.
Yeah.
And so I would say that if it's just looking at the majority analysis of certain passages, that's not going to be probably helpful. Now, I think what you said about using it as a tool to clean up your own stuff, like this is my own grammar, but it helps me to clean it up or whatever. That's the same as using Grammarly or even using an editor who can help edit your stuff. That would all be the same.
Yeah, or help it to be more logical.
Yeah, right? Again, like those are great things, but when it comes to the actual material itself, I think it would be sinful to take it.
It's funny. I did a couple of prompts about the church.
Yeah.
Not in preparation of this video. I didn't think we were actually going to do this video. But And I asked about Faith Bible Church, and it said that we were located in Laguna Niguel.
Yeah, good.
Good. And then I asked her about the pastor. It didn't know the AI did not know the pastor.
Oh, perfect.
Which was very, very good. And then I asked her about you, but I was with Kevin, first name and last name. AI does not know you, nor me.
Well, that's actually really encouraging.
Which is great.
That's actually really encouraging.
So
yeah, to be unknown by the robots is probably a good thing.
That's pretty good. So when the apocalypse happens,
we're not the first against the wall.
Skynet.
Skynet. Anyway, well, this degenerated. Anyway, well, I hope this is helpful for you.
I hope so. It was for me.
It was for me. If you have any questions or have any other information or thoughts on this topic, feel free to email us at info@faithbibleoc.org. Thanks so much.